Hello and welcome to the next video in my Paladin leveling series where I level from 30 to 80 in dungeons only. In this video I'll be showing you how to level from 62 to level 68 in the Hellfire Ramparts. You can expect to get between 700 and 800,000 experience per hour when you're doing Hellfire Ramparts. In your typical run, you'll kill the first boss and all the mobs inside the dungeon while skipping the last two bosses. However, at a point of your choosing, you should definitely kill the last two bosses as well when you can. The sole reason for this is to gain access to the socketed items they drop. Even though we're only level 62, we can use Wrath of the Lich King gems in these socketed items, which can give us a huge boost in damage and survivability. As always, I'm going to have a link down below to my 80 upgrades page, so if you have any questions about how to socket or enchant your gear, then take a look in there to see what I've been running. What I usually do is just gem full strength at this stage to improve damage and my Seal of Light healing. One very important thing you should do is make sure to respec into Stoicism to gain reduced stun duration, and also get a weapon that you can apply a weapon chain to. There are both stuns and disarms and ramps that can be kind of rough, especially at the lower levels, so having talents and these enhancements to counter these debuffs is really helpful. At 62, you should really only try and do one pack at a time until you get used to what the mob abilities are and how they affect your damage intake. The first mob you should be aware of is the Hungerer. These are the disarming mobs, and there's a ton of them inside the dungeon. This means that you'll always be in danger of losing your weapon with most of the pulls. This is why it's really helpful to have a weapon chain, as it cuts the duration of the disarms in half and allows us to continue to do damage and heal. It's also important to note that when you get disarmed, it also reduces your parry chance down to 0, so make sure you press Holy Shield on cooldown to compensate for that loss of parry and reduction in self-healing. The second mob to look out for is called the Ravager. These are the mobs that will stun you, and they should generally be targeted before the Hungerers, as the stuns are a lot more dangerous than the disarm. If you find yourself with a large pack of mobs attacking you, even a small 1-second stun can mean death for your character. Throughout ramps, you will also periodically see some wolves. These should always be targeted first, as they apply a stacking bleed debuff that does a ton of damage. Luckily, these are normal mobs, so they die really quickly. Just make sure you target them before anything else. The next mob to look out for is called the Dark Caster. These spam Scorch and Rain of Fire and put out a ton of spell damage. I generally target these after I've killed any wolves in the pack. There aren't a ton of LOS spots in ramps, especially early on, so these can be really annoying, especially because they just kind of stand there and spam Scorch at you if you run away. Just remember that Avenger's Shield is a good silence to get them into a position where you can kill them, or you can run far away to where they can't cast Scorch, and then you can run up and hit them. Those are two great ways to move these guys. Early on, these are going to be very dangerous mobs, but as you level up, they're going to start melting, and they really won't do too much damage, especially with our increased health pool later on. But just make sure you're aware of where these guys are at when you're low level. You'll also notice that I swap over to Fire Resist Aura sometimes when I'm fighting these Dark Casters, and that's because that Scorch damage really does pack a punch, so you can reduce a lot of it by swapping over to another aura. Just know that you're losing out on that armor mitigation from Devotion Aura when you do that, so you're kind of trading one thing for another, but if you feel like Scorch is just doing way too much, then that is definitely an option. The last mob to be aware of is the Destroyer. These mobs are hard-hitting two-handed weapon type mob that have a knock-up ability. It can be really annoying to get knocked onto an object and have half of your pull teleport to an evade spot, so just be careful not to position yourself in front of the tents or in front of the boxes or something you can fly up onto. If anything, when you reach this larger room, you can actually move underneath the tent so that when you get knocked up, you don't go into the air, you just kind of fall back down. Other than that, these mobs aren't a real threat. When you do engage the boss in this room, make sure you kill the Hellfire Watchers first so they don't start casting heals on everything, and it can also be helpful to have a couple of melee only mobs in the fight as well when you attack the boss, such as an Archer or a Destroyer, because that'll increase your mana and your health return. One thing you do want to do is avoid fighting wolves or dark casters during the boss fight, because it's very annoying, and especially at lower level can be pretty dangerous. When you kill the boss, if you're lucky, you'll get a socketed item. However, most of the time you're going to be getting some crappy blue bracers that you don't need, so good luck. I hope you get it quicker than I did. It took me like 20 runs to actually get the socketed pants from this boss, so I was actually in here not too long ago when I was gearing up my Stratholme boosting twink, and these same socketed pants from this boss took me over 40 runs to get. So I got a little bit more lucky on this character and got him while I was still leveling here, but on that other character, man, it took me so long. I went through so many lockouts just killing this same boss over and over. Be aware that some of the mobs in here do run away when they're low on HP as well, which can be very annoying because the packs in Hellfire ramps are very clustered together, and one pack will very easily chain to another pack and get you killed if you don't move it into a better spot. So if you see something running away, a great thing you can do to combo is Hand of Reckoning and and Hammer of Wrath it. That'll do a huge amount of damage, and most of the time it'll end up killing the mob, but sometimes it does need a little bit more. As you can probably tell from this clip, I'm level 62, so the run is a little bit more sketchy than it will be later on, but you have to go through this slow point in order to get to that really fast point later on in, you know, like the 66, 67 range. Plus the experience per hour is still really good, even at a 20-minute run in ramps, and we actually offset the experience loss from leveling up with increased speed. At level 62, the run will take you around 20 minutes, and at level 66, the run was taking me around 12 minutes. So it's a drastic change in damage and survivability as you go up. When you get into this upper area, you'll want to make sure to pull the patrol that goes around first and pull it back into the hallway. These packs in here are very close together in this part, so make sure to pull them very far away and try not to let them flee into the other packs. There's actually some nice line of sight points in the hallway that you can use to bring back the casters too. The rest of the run is very self-explanatory. Just kill one pack at a time until you're done and you jump down and reset the dungeon. At level 64, you can train Seal of Corruption, which does have some applications, but for the most part, you're going to be using Seal of Light. Maybe if you pull like the boss by himself, it's very good to use, or if you're doing like a small pull, then you can use it. But for the most part, you're going to need Seal of Light to stay alive. So if you want to go and train that at 64, you definitely can. Otherwise, there's not really anything to train until we get to level 68. Remember that in this run, I didn't kill any bosses, but I do recommend that until you have those socketed items, you do continue to kill the last two bosses as well. But if you want to wait until you're level 64 or so and grab Seal of Corruption, then that can help with the boss fights. One of them, the third boss, is actually a little bit hard because he does a lot of fire damage. Make sure you're using fire resist when you're fighting the dragon guy, and make sure you continue to move your character at all times. I'll probably include a bonus clip where I kill the boss. However, I came in here early and started killing these bosses at level 60, so it's even more sketchy than it would be at 62 or 64. But I will leave a sped up version at the end of this video if you want to check it out, or if you're interested and need to see how to do it. But it is really sketchy, as I said, because I did it at level 60, and I don't recommend doing that at all. That's going to be it for today's video, guys. I hope you enjoyed it, and I hope you're really enjoying these guides. Having a lot of fun putting them together and kind of seeing what my low-level character can do. If you haven't already subscribed, please do so. It definitely helps me out a lot, and make sure to drop a like on the video. I'm going to go ahead and leave you with these bonus clips now of me soloing these bosses at level 60. Go ahead and take a look at them if you're interested. If not, that's it. Thank you guys all so much. I'll see you in the next one. Peace out.